Hi, welcome back to day 3 of digital learning. Today we are going over Unit 6, Lesson 1.3. So we're going to continue our work with fractions. Yesterday we worked on fraction sets. Today we are going to be talking about how there's different types of fractions other than unit fractions. And unit fractions are fractions that look like 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, 1/6, and so on, whereas my numerator, my number on top, is 1. So, what I want us to think about is if I folded this paper, what fraction or what did I fold this paper into? So that these pieces are in fourths. And the reason I could figure that out is because I see 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts of my whole. I divided this into 4 equal parts of my whole. So now that we understand that this is in fourths, what fraction of the whole piece did I just cut out of this piece of paper? Pause, I want you to think about what is my fraction of the whole of this piece of paper? I know that this piece of the paper is 1/4 of the whole. And I know that because it's one piece where my whole has 4 pieces all together. How much do I have left? This big piece of paper, how much do I have left? Pause, I want you to think about, if I just cut out 1/4, how much of my whole do I have left now? So I know that this is 1/4, this is 1/4, and this is 1/4. But all together, I'd be able to figure it out by adding them up. Adding up my fractions, because I have 1, 2, 3 pieces left. So 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. And my denominator, my number on the bottom, stays the same, so I just add up my top. It would be 3/4, because I have 3 parts of my whole left over. So what I did here is I put both of these up and I shaded in my part right here, my 3/4, to show that this is all together 3/4. It's 1/4 and 1/4 and 1/4, and adding them all together would equal 3/4. And I still have my 1/4 left over here. I want us to think about what the fractions mean. What do the 1 and the 3, my numerators, mean in 1/4? What do my 1 and 3 mean in my fraction? Those are the parts that I have. I separated 1 part when there's 4 parts that make up the whole. And now I have 3 parts left when there are 4 equal parts of my whole. So now I'm going to fold a piece of paper in a different way. And what I want us to make sure that we keep in mind is that in order for a fraction to be a fraction, it needs to be equal parts. So how I just folded mine is that I folded my paper in half. I'm going to separate it by dividing it into 6 equal parts. So now I'm going to, now that I have it in half, split it up into thirds, because I know that 3 times 2 equals 6. So I have my 6 equal parts. And I do this that way I'm not folding it really quick, or or without a plan, because then I don't know how many pieces I might have or if they are all going to be equal. So now my paper is divided into 6. It's divided into 6 equal parts. So I want us to think about what my denominator would be for any of these parts. My denominator, my number on the bottom, would be 6 because there's 6 equal parts that make up my whole. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut off one part of my piece of paper. What would this fraction be? Think about it. I cut how many pieces off that are separated? What would my fraction be? I know since I have, this is one part of my whole, my fraction would be 1. My whole is made up of 6 equal parts, so it would be 1/6. How much of my paper is left? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts left, but there were 6 total parts that make up that whole. How much of my paper is left here? 5 parts. And how much or how many made up my whole originally? How many pieces? 6. So this fraction is 1/6, and this whole sheet of paper is 5/6. So my 5 represents how many pieces or how many parts do I have here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My 6 represents how many pieces to make up that whole. We would need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. Let's think, what is an equation that I can do in order to show how I figured out 5/6? I know that this piece is 1/6. This piece is 1/6. This is another 1/6. It's one part of the whole. Another 1/6. And one more 1/6. And I know that I'm going to keep my denominator the same and just add up my numerator. So my parts. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could figure this out also by making an equation by figuring out 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/6 would equal 5/6. So now what we're going to be doing is adding more pieces to our fraction set. These pieces are going to be showing fractions that have more than one piece. So my numerator isn't going to just be 1 over my part or my denominator. It's going to have fractions that have more than one piece, like in 5/6. You're going to make one sheet of halves, one sheet of fourths, one sheet of eighths, one sheet of thirds, and one sheet of sixths. After you fold your paper into fractional parts, just like I did, where I folded it into sixths first, then I'm going to cut out one piece. So instead of cutting up all of the pieces like we did yesterday, you're only going to cut out one part of my whole sheet of paper. So you're going to only cut out 1/6 or 1/4 or 1/3, for example. Each sheet you're going to label the piece you cut out, just like we did, and also what is left. So here I cut out 1/6, and I have 5/6 left.